only 23 years old. Kirstie Simmons, a veteran, 34. Baumgardner also with a height and reach advantage in this fight, but she's given away a couple of pounds.
So with that, we are just about set to go. ALYCIA Baumgardner trains at Kronk Gym, so she knows all about fighters.
Yeah, ALYCIA training at Kronk with Jonathan Banks as her trainer, who's not here tonight, but Banks also trains Cecilia Brækhus, who may be, pound for pound, the best female fighter in the world.
Meantime, Kirstie Simmons has never been off her feet. And Steve pointed out, she fights because she really enjoys it. She has a full-time job. She's a full-time mom. She goes running sometimes at 3 o'clock in the morning. Her husband helps her out, keeps the car lights on so that she can see where she's going.
It's crazy. You see that Simmons is a southpaw. This is the second left-handed opponent of Baumgardner's young career.
And I think this is the perfect step up for Baumgardner right now, because Kirstie Simmons, you look at who she's fought recently, Heather Hardy and Kalisha West back-to-back. Those are two of the best female fighters that America has to offer right now.
Nice little combination, counter combo from Simmons.
And I'll tell you, after watching tape of Baumgardner, she's a lot, at least in the first minute of this fight, a lot more calm. She usually throws a lot of punches, is very aggressive. Not so much in the first minute of this fight.
Slipped the right hand in there. Good wild right hand. Right hand from Simmons.
Baumgardner a little faster. Simmons usually a one punch at a time type of fighter.
Baumgardner being, I don't want to say cautious, but respectful. How about that?
It's fair, and part of it might be the fact that her opponent is a lefty. Usually takes a little getting used to.
I also think this is the typical posture of this generation of Kronk fighters. Look at the people who Banks has trained and Javen Sugar Hill. You know, they're patient punchers.
Good exchange right there, and I thought Simmons actually got the better of that.
Take a look at action. You know, that hair of Baumgardner took that punch, not her head, her hair. But when the hair flies like that does, can it influence the judges? They see it again. Baumgardner enjoyed that exchange. She is absolutely charming. Great smile, attractive woman. A little bit irreverent, would you say?
Yeah, I'd say.
And don't call her ALYCIA. If you call her ALYCIA, she will correct you. It's ALYCIA.
Absolutely. And she walked out of the room. I think we all got it right. She walked out of the room. She said, "It's really nice of you to say my name right."
We were intimidated.
That's exactly. She also says she dabbles in broadcasting, much as we do.
She has sat at the desk with me on a previous Real Deal broadcast, and she's a columnist for her hometown paper, so we better be watching our jobs.
Yeah, she's 23, and you know, women's boxing is picking up more national exposure in America on television. The exposure is going to make women's boxing much bigger. I'm a big believer in it, and she's in the perfect position to capitalize on it.
And that's kind of the dichotomy of this fight, and what we were talking about in fighter interviews too, is that ALYCIA seems to be coming along at exactly the right time. She's hitting her peak at the right time. Kirstie Simmons is kind of a part of the previous generation that came along just a little bit too early before these big paydays and these television broadcast deals started to materialize.
Right, and I think she recognizes that. That was kind of a large part. Good 4 or 5 punches.
And you could see, Barry, you mentioned earlier Simmons never been off her feet. You can see why. As soon as she got hurt there, she knew to grab.
both these women former national champions as amateurs. And that's another quirk of women's boxing. How often do you see two men in the ring who are former national champions? I mean, you basically wait until you're in a world title fight before that ever happens.
Well, Baumgardner seems to have learned one thing about fighting lefties. The right hand is usually the key weapon.
There was the right hand. Final seconds of round 2. 6 2-minute rounds. Good round from Baumgardner.
You're good?
So great.
Back together. All right? When you stand move in, jab that straight. Back up with jab that straight. Let's go.
So we come to round 3 of this 6-round fight.
And Baumgardner recently went to camp with her stablemate, Cecilia Brakes, and she told us that she feels she's right on her level talent-wise, but she recognized the fact that she needs some more fights in order to get those world title fights and that kind of exposure.
That was a good right hand right there. Two body shots and that back Simmons up.
Yeah, what Simmons can do. She's pretty much a one-trick pony. Has a lot of southpaws. She's all about the left hand, and that's the only real chance she has is to wing it and hope.
Right now, it's Baumgardner pretty much dictating the tempo of the fight. And doing a little bit more work. Stepped into the right hand there.
And she's doing a good job of taking advantage of her reach advantage.
Yeah.
Keeping the fight at a little bit of a distance.
Baumgardner in this round is doing a better job taking a little step to the left and opening up that lane for the right hand, and she just landed it right there.
Good left hand of the body behind it, too. A couple left hands from Simmons. Baumgardner was boxer, but they both got there.
Corey, you're so right. But by taking a step to her left, she keeps her lead foot outside of Simmons's, which is exactly what you want to do against the southpaw.
Simmons slipped a little bit. Baumgardner jumped on her thinking she was hurt.
Hey, keep working, okay? Listen. This girl fights in spurts. She has 2 or 3 spurts the whole round, and she's done. When she's not doing nothing, touch the shit out of her. When she tries to come forward, you get ready. Don't give her nothing, all right?
You see some of the action from the previous round. This was arguably the best round of the fight for ALYCIA Baumgardner. She really got that right hand working. There was a good left hook that landed upstairs. Baumgardner starting to get more and more comfortable offensively as we go along.
This is round 4.
Simmons told us at the fighter meetings that she thinks Baumgardner gasses out, gets tired. That's going to be the case. We're going to start seeing it. I don't think it's going to be the case. This fight is being fought at a slower pace.
Yeah, it doesn't look like I see nothing headed toward emptying the tank of Baumgardner.
Well, and Simmons also told us she'd be applying pressure in this fight, and she really hasn't done that in a traditional sense. So it's not like she's doing anything to empty that tank.
Good right hand by Simmons, nothing big. Left hand to the body by Simmons.
Baumgardner there just posed for about 4 seconds, loading up a left hook, and it landed.
Doing the same thing right here. Threw it again. Left hand, a quick right behind it. Right hand from Simmons and a right hand from Baumgardner right at the same time.
With the women's game the way it is, you can't be sure how many fights ALYCIA Baumgardner is going to need before she's only a 6-round fighter now, so I'm not talking now, but down the road she could be ready for a contender very soon.
Really finding a home for that left hand now. Right hand caught mostly on the shoulder. Well, we want to remind you that we will next be with you on June the 7th. Hall of Fame induction into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame, and a pretty good main event too, featuring Toka Conclary. We've seen him on a couple of occasions.
Yeah, Toka Conclary, probably the real deal roster member closest to a world title shot, so it'll be a treat to see him, especially at Boardwalk Hall, where there's a rich boxing history.
And we talk about Evander going into the Atlantic City Boxing Hall of Fame. I will never forget the night of Evander versus George Foreman. Probably the biggest fight in the history of Atlantic City, at least up to that point.
There he is right there. I'm sure he remembers that fondly also.
Yeah, he put a hurting on Big George, but nothing happened. Big George just kept soaking up the punishment.
That's right.
1.4 million pay-per-view buys for that, too.
Huge at the time.
Yeah, and everybody said, all right, that George had his chance. Old George, goodbye, George. Well, look at what happened. He ended up winning a version of the heavyweight title.
This is round 5 of this.
Baumgardner goes back to that left hook. I mean, she was advertising that left hook all round long, but it was still effective. And sometimes when orthodox fighters run into southpaws, they almost forget about their left hand altogether. They forget that left hook can be very effective against a southpaw.
Been a number of times where both of them have thrown a punch simultaneously and they both scored.
We should point out this is a 6-round fight. Baumgardner's last fight, she went 8, which was a big step up because she had scored 4 quickie knockouts, 4 first-round knockouts prior to that fight.
And the mouthpiece comes out of Simmons, I believe. We've seen that a lot tonight, haven't we?
At least Simmons has a mouthpiece that fits.
Yeah, that's right.
Valdez did not have one that fitted him.
Talk about Simmons has 2 kids. That was a good sharp right hand from Baumgardner. It caused Simmons to take a step back. Simmons right back in the combination of her own. Simmons nothing of not game.
The story of the fight, though, has been Baumgardner's right hand. She stopped Simmons in her tracks a few times just by sticking out a straight right.
Simmons kind of has a habit of squaring up when she throws her left, and Baumgartner is just timing her and beating her to the punch with her right hand every time.
Started to say it. Simmons' 2 kids. She doesn't want either of her children in the boxing ring. His daughter, who's 8 years old, Sydney, who's in Taekwondo. We asked her about her son. She said he wants to be a sportscaster.
Another one.
Yeah, doesn't everybody.
Do they know what we get paid? Do they have any idea? Take a look at action from round 5. She's winging. She doesn't throw very straight punches, but she's trying. Kirstie Simmons. You know, Barry, she reminds me of a fighter we did, Tori Nelson.
Yes.
And Tori Nelson's in her 40s, but also a woman who's a mother who works and mixes in boxing with it having a full-time job. In Tori Nelson's case, a couple of jobs. Right?
That's right.
Someone not quite on Tori Nelson's level, but
she's really giving it an effort. So she's getting beat to the punch and outscored. But trying.
And Kirstie Simmons works 13-hour days as an engineer. She definitely does not need to box.
No.
She is absolutely doing this because she loves to do it.
Yeah, her husband is a financial advisor, as you said.
She's just good enough to just stay competitive in fights, and she's tough enough that when she's overmatched, she's not going away.
Right. So 1 minute remaining in this fight. Both still in there, both still throwing punches. Pretty good round, actually, so far for Simmons.
This might be the best round of the fight for Kirstie.
Up until this point, I have not given Simmons any rounds. I don't know if you guys have.
I gave her the first.
This is good matchmaking, too, because this is a learning fight for Baumgartner. She moved up last time fighting Nadia Feliciano, who was 9-9-3, had a great record, but a tough fighter. And this is, she, you know, to be learning this much, this quickly in her career is wonderful.
Yeah, I mean, she got all she wanted, I think, from Simmons at this stage of her career. I think she'll still get out of Dodge with a W. A very good last round from Simmons. And as you pointed out, a good learning experience, I think, for Baumgartner.
Yeah, I think this was perfect matchmaking, as you said, Steve. And going back to who Simmons fought most recently, Heather Hardy and Kalisha West. I mean, Heather Hardy is probably the second most famous female boxer in America right now. So now people can take that tape, compare it with this one, and people can make a good judgment on ALYCIA Baumgartner as far as where she's at.
So we'll see. It's in the hands of the judges. I would have to think that Baumgartner got out of here with a victory. There's really nothing to criticize Baumgartner about for what she did or didn't do in this fight.
No, and she used a thoughtful approach. She used a lot of feints. She realized the right hand was the weapon to use. Kept her distance. She was the bigger fighter. Simmons was moving up, really pretty much has been a featherweight. So she took advantage of the advantages she had.
I thought she looked very composed in there, and especially for a fighter who had 4 quick knockouts to begin their career, you'd expect that fighter to be in there rushing things, and that's definitely not the case with ALYCIA.
No, I think that's absolutely right. She, and oh, by the way, the first female fighter to be signed by Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Promotions.
We've heard it so many times from so many of Evander's fighters, what it means for a young fighter to be wooed by Evander Holyfield promotionally. I mean, that's a big deal. You know, we can't overestimate Evander's name value. He is a superstar.
Absolutely.
And he can fight a little bit, too.
A little bit.
I guess that belt he's wearing, that means he can fight, right?
I guess that does signify that, right?
Yeah.
I don't believe he's ever taken that off, actually.
How many belts has he won? I think we double digits, right?
Yeah, yeah. Take a little time to tabulate these cards here. We'll get to Dave Diamante just as soon as he has the scores, and let's go to the center of the ring. Here's Dave.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 6 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' score totals. Steve Weisfeld scores the bout 59-55 for Baumgardner. Kermit Bayless scored this contest 58-56 for Simmons. And Judge Carlo Kellum scores the bout 58-56 for your winner by split decision, ALYCIA, the Bomb Baumgardner.
A lot closer than one might have expected.
Kermit Bayless, one of the out-of-state judges brought in. And all I can tell you is Kermit Bayless, the twin brother of referee Kenny Bayless, scored for Quasar when he fought Abner Maris. No one.